All right. Appreciate you being here, Josiah. Josiah is one of my students. He's been with me for a couple months now. Absolutely crushing it. I want to do a video with you guys just to share with you different students' experiences, where they started, where they're at now, how they got here, how many properties they have, what areas did they get into. And so I want to do this podcast to just enlighten the people that are thinking about getting into Airbnb and what your experience has been, and really the difference, and maybe we can help a lot of people with what is arbitrage versus purchasing. And so I'm going to start by saying, Josiah, thank you for being here first and foremost. Welcome to the show. Tell me, what were you doing before this?
Yeah. So for about 8+ years, I was working in restaurant management. And I really enjoyed leading teams and organizing and planning and the customer experience and hospitality and everything like that. But the restaurant industry itself, it wasn't for me. Like the hours being on the location, working with the people directly, it just, and the pay was, not great. So I moved out of there trying to look for more like traditional 9 to 5, thinking maybe that would be a little bit more satisfying for me. And, I could make a little bit more money and it could be a little bit, better work-life balance. And so, I went back to school and tried to get that whole thing, found a good job. And I was doing it, and like I'm the lowest tier now because I started in a new industry, and it's just like having managers and like having all these, like, doing this work that doesn't matter to me at all. It's just so unfulfilling, not being in that leadership position, which I wasn't before. It's not fun, it's
Right.
not something I enjoy doing. It's not something that like gives me fulfillment, and there's no long-term, specifically in my company, but there's no long-term like growth path. And it's like, I want something that I can build myself, that I can, put in work and get gains from. You know, and I also work with a lot of like entrepreneurs and startups. I work in like the VC, the venture capital industry. So we
Right.
make investments in, companies that are startups. I'm like, wow, these entrepreneurs are awesome. Like they have this idea, they make their own company. And so I'm like, how do I get on that, right? Like, what do I
Yeah.
do to build my own business? And it's like, I don't have an app that I created or anything like that. I don't have, any invention of my own. So I'm like, well, so what do I have to do to get into there? So I find this Airbnb thing. It's like you can build your own business and you don't have to invent the wheel yourself, right? So,
Right.
so that's kind of how I got into it. I was like, wow, this is a great opportunity for me to be the entrepreneur, right? And be able to put work in and then directly see the benefits and know that that's something that I built and that I created, for lasting wealth and for, you know, um, continuing returns essentially. So now I am building my business. I have my LLC, I have, my bank accounts, I have it all set up. So it's now I have a business that I'm creating. I'm not just working that 9 to 5 grind for someone to build their business, right? Like I'm doing
Right.
it for me, not for them.
Great. And no, that's awesome, right? Because we don't want to build somebody else's dreams, right? When we're
Right.
when we're in a position where we can build our dreams for ourselves and our family, there's sky's the limit. Like, and that's why when you came on board, I was like, listen, you can scale this to the moon. There is no cap to how much money you can make, right? It
Yeah.
could be unlimited if you want to just keep going, right? And this is a very scalable model. So I'm gonna ask you this question. What is um your kind of thought process on arbitrage? Let people know here, like, what is
Mm.
arbitrage versus a purchase on in Airbnb, and how
Yeah.
easy is this?
Yeah. I mean, a purchase is pretty straightforward, right? Like you buy the property, you furnish it, you do any remodeling, you have to go to the bank, you have to get funding. It's a whole long process where you need to have a lot of, your debt has to be right and everything. Like there's just a lot that goes into it, and it's really long, and you need a lot of money to do it, right? Um, so arbitrage, it you don't need a lot of money, you don't need a lot of time, you just need a landlord who's willing to let you put your platform on whatever listing site, let you have short-term rentals. So essentially you just contact the landlord like, hey, I love your property, I'm interested in doing short-term rentals with it, or midterm rentals, have these traveling professionals, that kind of thing. And once
Bingo.
you guys get on the same page, you can go from finding a property for the first time to listing it on a platform within a couple weeks, depending on the turnaround and the communication. Where if you're buying a property, there's no way you're going to do that. That's going to take months, right? And you're going to need to have
Several
banks
months.
involved.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it's going to
Yeah.
be impossible. And so it's like
And
the
that's
money
why I
that
tell
you
people
invest.
how much scalable more it is, because you're just
Yeah,
renting.
Right. Like I pay maybe I pay a down payment of like first month of security deposit. So it's like $5,000 plus whatever furnishing. So maybe like 7 or something like that to 8, where you buy a house, you need like 30,000 down, and then you have this mortgage, and it's like, if it doesn't go well, the worst case scenario, you're stuck with that house. You have to sell it. Worst case scenario with arbitrage, it goes bad. You're in a 1 to 2 year lease. You can get out of it, and you might even be able to find a sublease. But hopefully that doesn't happen. But your risk is a lot lower. You have a lot less money down, and the turnaround's a lot quicker. So the cash on cash return is a lot higher.
It's huge. It's huge. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So how did we find each other? I guess since we know, guys, I want to just recap what Josiah said. Arbitrage is a simple way. It's a fancy word of let's go to a landlord who's renting their property already. They're in pain. They haven't been able to rent to a traditional tenant for a couple months. We go to them and say, hey, listen, we're interested in putting your property on Airbnb. Now, we won't use those terms. I'm going to give you the technical terms and tell you why it's important that we say that we are a corporate leasing company. We have travel nurses, doctors, chiropractors, business professionals, because we don't want to pitch Airbnb. Airbnb is the most well-known short-term rental platform, but it's also in the news everywhere and on the media where people have died in them, right? We have kids that ate fentanyl, unfortunately. And so it gets the negative stigma in landlord's mind. And so we don't ever pitch Airbnb up front. We want to take it from a position of corporate leasing. Now, ultimately, they are going to sign a one-page document. It's called a lease addendum, which essentially says that, hey, you're allowing us to put it on Airbnb. But we don't want to say that up front. Pitch it as a corporate lease. Right. And then boom, we're just going to landlords. This is a very scalable model. Every 45 days is what I'm teaching so that we can get another property, because most people do this as a hobby. And if you just Google it, the average Airbnb host has 1.2 properties. They do it like, if you're going to look for a hobby, just go play pool, right? But you want to do this as a business, you're going to need multiple properties. We're not buying, we're just renting. So how did you find me, by the way? How was it that we got connected?
Honestly, I've been trying to think about it. I think there was an ad or something that came up, but I'm like, this guy, Investor Mike, and there was like a short video where you kind of give a pitch about what you did. I'm like, yeah, I'll check it out. There was a free session that you were hosting. So I just came in and listened to what you had to say, and I'm like, yeah, like that makes a lot of sense, because I had tried to do it by myself. Honestly, I've been watching other YouTube streamers and that kind of thing, and it's like, oh yeah, Airbnb Arbitrage, and so I'd actually gone to a couple of different locations and talked to landlords in person, and neither of them worked out. I went to 2. And then you come up with like, hey, you don't have to go to this. You can do this whole other way where, you can just get the landlord to agree before you even go out there. And so I was wasting all this time and, and didn't have any, nothing came from it. Right. The landlord didn't even know about what I was trying to pitch before I approached them. So the way that you presented it was a lot different than anything that I had seen before, and a lot quicker and a lot kind of better to be able to sign the deal and get the landlord to be on the same page with you. And so after that session, I signed up, and since then I have 3 properties now, and it's been, I guess, September, so it could have been a little bit faster. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's it. Yeah, my 3rd property, and my lease just started today, so I need to get over there and get a couple. It was fully furnished, so I just need to get a couple things like some bedding and stuff. So hopefully, I have a pretty quick turnaround with that one, and then number 4 should come soon after that. Trying to scale it.
Yeah, you kind of answered the question as to, look, you tried it yourself, and for whatever reason you didn't know the pitch, or you're doing what they call driving for dollars, which is where you look for signs. You just go to reach out to landlords, and you get out there and you try to pitch as an Airbnb, and it's just not the way. What I teach is a completely different method, where you guys don't have to get on the phone with landlords and pitch the deal. And also, I will help you get free rent on the front end for the first month, and I'm helping you find furnished properties. Now, in Josiah's case, he had a property that looks so good revenue-wise, where sometimes it makes sense if we can find a property that's not furnished, but the profit is so good that it's like, it just makes sense. But generally, I'm going to help you find a furnished property, and I'm going to negotiate that 4 to 8 weeks of free rent for you on the front end, so that your expense, like he was saying, 7 to 8, that's on a furnished property, that's on an unfurnished property, and paying the first month up front, where a typical student comes in and usually is less than a few thousand, 3,000 to 4,000 to get all in and have a coach. But what has your experience been so far up to this point in the last, say, 3 or 4 months? What are you at? 4 months, and you got 3 properties already.
Yeah, like working with you, I mean, it's been great. I wouldn't be, there's like no question in my mind that I wouldn't be where I am if I had been part of this, this group. Essentially, like, you know, you're there as the extra support, like you're the industry knowledge. So a landlord can, you know, me coming in, this is my talking my first, second, third property. They want to see someone with years of an, you know, established company. It's like, I don't have that, right? But I am part of this group. I do have this connection. I have you on the call where it's like, yeah, I've been doing this forever. And so you get the instant credibility that I wouldn't have on my own. So that's a huge thing. But then also all the support from all the other members of the group. So like if I have an issue with a listing or whatever, you know, guest has an issue, I can just put it in there, and odds are someone has had the similar issue, or if they haven't, they have, you know, some kind of opinion. So it's always much easier to talk through whatever issues you have than just kind of being by yourself and sitting here being like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? This is a terrible situation. You can throw it out in the WhatsApp and be like, hey guys, this is what's going on. Like today I had an issue with my calendar wasn't syncing right, and I put it out there, and you responded immediately. Another another student responded, and I was able to, you know, be more comfortable in my decision because I had some validation from everybody else, as opposed to just me sitting here be like, what should I do, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, definitely the community is very important. I feel like I've built the most powerful and unbelievable Airbnb community that's out there. We really appreciate you being on board, man. You're crushing it. You're doing really good. And I will ask you this in terms of where you're at right now. What have you done so that way the people are listening? What is the simplest way you can break down over the next 60 seconds of how you work with me and how you were able to get your first property? What was that process look? What did it look like for you? How did you get your first property under 38? What did you do?
Essentially, I just went on Zillow and did a search for properties that had been listed for 30 plus days. So the landlord had that pain point where they wanted to get it out. I looked for properties that were furnished, and you can also look in certain areas that are, you know, statistically proven to be a better market, right? And then from there, you just go on Zillow and send a message to the landlords and be like, hey, you know, I like your property. I'm really interested. You know, this is what I do. There's a little spiel you can give. And then you send a message, and then they'll get back to you. And once they get back to you, you can just look at their property on another platform called AirDNA, which will essentially project out the revenue you would get from hosting short-term rentals on that property. And if the profit to rent and other expenses makes sense, it's about $1,500 on average per month, then you can, you know, tell the landlord, hey, I'm interested in your property, and, you know, start negotiations from there. So you send out, you know, 20 of those scripts a day, then you're probably going to get 5 to 10, you know, landlords getting back to you and be like, hey, I'm interested, or hey, I'm not interested. But, you know, you can get that going in like a couple of days easily, and then have a property within a week.
And how much money have you spent on marketing so far for your company in terms of
I haven't,
I mean, ads?
I haven't done any marketing. Like I don't have, you know, Instagram. I could have Instagram. I guess I've taken pictures just to list the property, but it's not like I have, you know, I don't have ads. I don't have anything like that. You know, it's just, you know, SEO optimization, which you help with. You log in and make sure, look at the names and the title and everything, and, you know, picture organization, cover photo placement, that kind of thing, to make sure the property, you know, looks the best for any potential, you know, guest that's going to be staying there.
Now you happen to have decent credit. In your case, you have decent credit, but what do you think would happen if somebody's listening to this and they're like, look, I've got a 600 credit score. Would they still be able to do this?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, it's not your credit that you're using. You create a business, like you establish an LLC, and that's the number that you're going to be giving for background check.
So let's back this up. I'm going to recap and finish it.
You know, and then
no, you nailed it, right? So here's what I do. Okay, you come on board with me. I give you a script that's a bulletproof script. We're reaching out to landlords on Zillow who are already in pain because they haven't been able to rent their property in the last, say, 60 to 90 days. So they're like, they really want to rent it, right? There's a pain point there. We send them a script. They come back and they say, hey, let's talk. Then what I do is I get on the phone with you, landlord, and myself, and we start the negotiation process where we're talking about free rent. We're talking about, you know, maybe some concessions on, you know, on the deposit, right? It's already a furnished property, so you have no expenses there. And then from there, we're going to get the property listed. You're going to send me the link. When you get it listed on Airbnb, I'm going to make sure I do the SEO for the title, description, help you with the pictures, make sure in the right order, the captions are there. And then quickly, you are starting to getting booked. Usually within 48 hours after I do the SEO on it, you're getting bookings already. So, but what business do you know? And I don't know any. And I tried a lot of different stuff back in the day, but I don't know any businesses that you can get into and spend zero money on marketing. Like zero.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, no, I've actually talked to other, like I was looking into different franchises and stuff like that. And it's like, I was looking at a real estate one, and half of your budget is just, you know, marketing, that kind of thing, like commercials that, you know, it's like, you need to do this to be able to find clients. Like all we need to do is make it look good, because the clients are already on the platform. It's like, that's where they go. And so as long as we stand out, you know, then they choose us, right?
We're on VRBO, we're on Airbnb, we're on bookings.com, we're on Furnish Finder, and they are a marketing platform. So people are going there, like you said, anyway. And now we make our property stand out from everybody else, which is the SEO that I do. And now they go there just like they were going to book a regular vacation. We spend zero money in marketing expenses, no paid traffic. And now you've got a business that you got into with zero marketing. Doesn't matter what your credit score is. Doesn't matter if you have Airbnb experience. Doesn't matter how many properties you have. My job is to get you a property in 30 days or less. And I was able to do that for Josiah and many other students. And now he's already on his third property in 4 months. So he's going to turn around a year from now, have 6, 7, 8 properties, and it's game over, guys. This is we're just renting. We're not buying, you know? So if anybody is interested in getting on board, you guys know how to find me. If you don't, it's Investor Mike on all the platforms, social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. All right, just hit me up, Investor Mike, or just shoot me a text at 904-864-8828. And I'll get you, a quick 10, 15-minute call, no strings attached. And we'll kind of just go through and see, what we can do to help you. I'm positive. I've had everything from, people that don't really know how to spell Airbnb to people that have like an entire portfolio already, and they're just looking to increase their occupancy and increase their ADR, their average daily rate. So, but thank you, Josiah, for being here and kind of telling me your story. And any last words on if somebody's looking to get into Airbnb, do you recommend arbitrage or purchase? And any last words on that? And what are your thoughts there?
I mean, if you're just looking to get in, arbitrage is the way to go. Like, it's going to be the quickest turnaround. You're going to start making money right away, and you're going to spend a lot less. Like, you could build a portfolio down the line with a combination if you want to, but ultimately arbitrage is how you're going to be making money quick without, spending a lot of time and money on your own. So
thank you for having me here, man. Appreciate it. And go out there and crush it. Go get your other property rocking and rolling, and we'll see you inside the program.
For sure.
Thank you, man. Bye.
All right. See you. Thanks.
Yep. You're welcome. Thank you.